Super. Welcome everyone to SEO Office Hours. My name is Michael Chidzey. I'm an SEO here at Good Signals, and part of what we do, along with special guests, are these office hour sessions where people can jump in and ask their questions around their website and web search. By the way, nobody here is in the hot seat, and we might not know all the answers, but multiple heads thinking about a problem should help. We've had a bunch of questions submitted already, as you can see, which we'll go through. But if there's anybody here live on the call who would like to ask any questions, please feel free to flag yourself in the chat functionality, which will be monitored. Also, there's usually lots of other amazing SEOs live on the call that share their ideas, experiences, and perspectives. I personally think that's one of the best things about SEO Office Hours is not just hearing from the four of us, but hearing from everybody else as well. So please continue to do that because it's so great. Like always, with me today is Juliana Turnbull, also known as SEO Joe Blogs. Good morning, happy Friday.
Hello, happy Friday. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our 82nd episode. And I'd like to say a big thank you to Simon for being our co-host last week. Thank you very much. You did an excellent job. As Mike said, was it just last week? Because there's time flies. So thank you, Simon, and also for being so active in the chat before as well. And I'd like to give a big thank you to those that are joining us regularly. We have Preeti, David, we have Jojo. We have just can't, I just had the whole number here and I just lost it. We have Favor, we have Fiash, we have Rob as well, that's been coming quite a lot, Walid, Boran, Albert. So thank you all for joining the city where you're dialing in from, because I always ask which country, but I think we've got many more different cities. We're a truly international SEO office hour. I know that we've had, as I said, quite a few episodes. We're actually coming up to nearly the second year. It was November 3rd, 2023 we started, so on 82 episodes so far. If you haven't joined us live, feel free to do. We've got loads of comments in the chat. We can ask your questions and answer your questions live. It's on goodsignals.com/SEO-office-hours. And that you're enjoying the show. If you're enjoying it, I'm sure you are, then just click and subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. So today, I'm really pleased to have two very special guests. We have Ekene and Dan on our 82nd episode. Thank you both for joining us.
You're very welcome. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you. Really excited about this.
So we have Nnechi. He is a senior SEO content writer at Kuda. So this is the money app. It's a very big company and in Africa. Maybe you can go into a bit more detail about what you're doing there, but you are very busy as well in your free time because you are actually launching an online gift store this weekend. It's an online gift store at the moment for those in Lagos and Abuja. And this is because you have loads of experience working in online marketing. You were previous head of media and marketing communication at the Bulb Africa. And you also worked in Aona and Play. You've worked in more than 50 websites. You've extended and driven significant traffic and leads for clients as well. And also you had a tech company or a tech campaign that you're working on. You drove over quite some impressive 10,000 registrations. So maybe you can give a bit more insight into that or the application that you're working for, Kuda.
Okay. Let me start with Kuda Bank. Kuda is currently in Nigeria and in the UK and also in South Africa. That is transforming the way Africans access their money. Currently, I am the senior SEO content writer at Kuda. I work with Welcome Tomorrow. Welcome Tomorrow is an SEO agency based in the UK. So what I do is they consult for Kuda. So I work as a lead content writer. What we do is I sync with them. We create the SEO strategy. They do the keyword research and the keyword analysis, right? Why I take up the keywords that they have identified for better feasibility, and then I do the research and write a comprehensive SEO-based article on the blog. I also optimize the content on the Kuda website as well. So the goal is to rank for specific topics and keywords on the website, and that's what I've been doing for Kuda, basically.
Oh, great. Thank you. You sound like you have got a lot of experience. I'm going to share your details here in the chat. So if you'd like to connect with Ekene, please do. His details are in the chat. I'm just launching it now. Sorry, trying to multitask at the same time. And I'd like to also welcome Dan. Dan is actually in Brisbane, Australia. So thank you for joining us so much more later in the day over there. And Dan, you've got an impressive background. You've been working in the digital marketing and SEO industry for more than 20 years. You've spoken at numerous events, including the Mike King event in May early this year. It looks like it was a fantastic event, 4 days of SEO and online marketing insights. You're running your own company, Digital Marketing. You actually specialize in algorithms and machine learning and natural language processing. You partner with big brands and in-house teams to solve really complex SEO challenges. And you'll be speaking you may be at a few other events coming up, but I'll leave you to mention where that is. And you're actually also a big part of the SEO community, but also gardening community. You mentioned that you do a lot of gardening and you help the local community, and you'll be redesigning your garden this weekend. That's very impressive, Dan.
Yes, fingers crossed about that. If anyone wants to catch me in a presentation next, so I will be in Amsterdam for the SEMrush's event. So that's going to be a good one because I'll be presenting some under the hood stuff that we're doing internally to scale SEO, AI visibility, all the interesting, exciting things that we've been developing. And in case there's anyone from Australia, I'll be speaking in Brisbane very soon in a week or two.
Ooh.
For
Share the details.
Griffith University event. So that's going to be a little bit of a smaller scale thing, but my commitment is to spend more time in Australia moving forward because I realize that I'm quite well known internationally, but I realize that a lot of young marketers don't know who I am in Australia. So I was like, what's going on? Have I been resting on my laurel? I better do some local speaking. And so that was a bit of a goal for next year.
If you share that, maybe my sister, who was the co-host a couple of times on SEO Office Hours, maybe she can attend. And Jojo also mentioned that you're going to be speaking at the January Sitebulb webinar. They are very excited about that. So maybe you have
Yes,
some.
that should be fun.
Yeah.
Very geeky. I expect a very geeky conversation, which is the best kind of conversation.
I don't know, Jojo, if you want to share that in the chat, or Dan, then other people can put it in their calendar because January's not that far away.
Not at all.
Thank you very much, Dan, and thank you everyone for joining us. We've got a huge international SEO office hours, and we've got people dialing in. I think I mentioned already Barcelona, we've got Nairobi, we've got Dakar, we've also got Osor, we've got London, St. Albans, a lot of places in the UK, as well as Lagos, Brisbane. So very international SEO office hours. The event isn't ready for signups yet, Jojo said, but it'll be on January 28th at 11 a.m. Okay, 11 a.m. BST, we have got it in our diaries. So without further ado, I will pass over to Mike because we've got loads of questions. And remember, you can always ask other questions and we'll be answering them in the chat.
Great, amazing. Thanks, Joe. I think there's a Sydney SEO conference now, isn't there? There was, I think, a few years ago at least. That could be worth looking at as well. Joe, there is actually a question in the chat. Should we kick off with that one?
Yes, let's do that one. Oh, there's WTS Fest Melbourne. Yes. Sorry, Jojo, how could I not mention that? Yes, that is in November. So let me just go back to the chat. Okay. Yes, I think we briefly touched upon this a couple of weeks ago. Now, what are your thoughts on the removal of the num equals 100 parameter and the impact on organic impressions? For me, Rich says it's proving very tricky at this time to properly report to clients on organic impressions, as he is a marketer of growth, especially since the introduction of these AI overviews, which has stolen the clicks. So it's impacted views and users. So does anybody like to kick off with that question? What are our thoughts on the removal of this num equals 100 parameters?
I can share my perspective. I've been preparing for this and more for the last 10 years, and Google's been quite lenient with all of the scraping and everything so far for a very long time. So I'm actually surprised this happened now, and I'm surprised Google hasn't gone more aggressive. I think in a way it's AI that's caused this, and if it wasn't for all the AI scraping, this wouldn't have even happened, and Google wouldn't have ramped up the anti-scraping efforts. Now, Search Console is there. We have an API. We get all the data we like from that, and we can make actionable decisions and build strategies just as we did before. Those of us using Google Search Console, I've always been advocating the use of that. And some people are saying, oh, it's not really what happens in the real SERPs. And guess what? If you get a little bit wrong results and something's filtered out, but it's consistent, If it's consistently wrong, I can work with that. And so all the reporting and everything that we do is just based on of Search Console data and zero impact on reporting, metrics, strategy building, everything else. Maybe for those who are relying on external tools and scraping or going really deep into that, maybe ask yourself, how much value did you get out of that, all that? And is it time to switch to what we've been given by Google already?
Very comprehensive and complete answer. Thank you. Ekene, do you have anything else to add? If not, it's okay too.
You're on mute.
I'm okay. I'm okay. No, I don't have anything to add on this.
I just had a question actually. So just from what you just said, Daniel. Oh, I'm surprised it took this long. So you saw this coming then?
Oh, absolutely. And like I like to predict things. That's my thing. I'm a futurist, and I like to make accurate predictions. And this one was like that, and Google getting a bit more defensive about scraping and being so that didn't happen as soon as I thought. And I think like their generosity so far, we treat as a gift and we move on. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I think Google Search Console is great. You can get a lot of information from that. Actually, Mike, you were getting a lot of that. I think it was, you're using another tool as well to get more information from Google Search Console.
Yeah, I use multiple tools. From a rank tracking perspective, use the sort of ones that you would expect. So things like advanced web ranking and so on. And then obviously use Google Search Console. But I really like SEO Stack as well, because you can take a lot of it's basically built on top of Search Console's data. So it's just a lot easier to access more information. Others just pull it straight out as well in their own tools. We had a similar question actually, so I might add this one to the mix if that's all right, which is with SEO tools, re-engineering how they track rankings, keyword counts and visibility metrics now look very different. If I want to compare performance month on month or year on year, is there anything I should do to make those comparisons accurate, or are those baselines simply no longer reliable? Yeah, how it isn't. So obviously the first question was also just about reporting. Is this impacting monthly reports? Do you guys have to do monthly reports? Is that something that's part of your job? And are you having to change the way you do that because of this impression data and average rankings and all of that stuff not necessarily being as accurate, or you're not getting some of the data from anything after the top 20? Do you do much reporting from a content perspective?
Okay, let me take this from what we're currently doing at CUDA, how the new AI overview has impacted our reporting. And so basically, of course, the emergence of the AI overview and answer engine optimization has actually impacted how we view metrics, right? Of course, we know that things like impressions, we like to call them vanity metrics, and to an extent, even the clicks. So basically, part of the new metrics we are looking at is what we call mentions, how AI is citing, what are the number of mentions we are getting from AI overview, or citations we are getting from AI overview, and the measure of traffic we are getting from AI overview. So when we write content, we look at search intents. Now, what we notice internally that content that are informational based, that is, the informational based search intents, actually has been dominated by AI overview. The content that is transactional or commercial is still giving us conversions, giving us traffic to our website. So what we are doing is we are building more of our content bank around transactional and commercial based keywords. This way, we are escaping the AI overview space, because AI overview has taken over every content that is more of internal informational. So yeah, we still track clicks and impressions via Google Search Console, but at the same time, we're also looking at how well AI overview is citing our website. And so what part of what we are doing, we're doing a lot of PR mentions to get a lot of online citations, and we look for a way to restructure content on our website to be AI visible. What I mean by AI visible, that is content are now following a well-structured format using good well-structured headers. And content are also leveraging the use of structured data. This way, content are AI accessible, so that we can get better citations via Google. So yeah, we are tracking the number of citations and traffic we are getting from AI overview. But at the same time, we are building content banks around content that are commercial based and transactional. This way, we are likely not to be dominated by AI overview.
Cool. Cool. Great. Thank you. Joe, what about you? Do you have to do any reporting and clients, or has anybody asked you about this stuff? Are you, what, I guess it's actually people are probably doing their month on month reports as we speak. So it might be a bit early to ask this question. But yeah.
I think that you just need to have a consistent way of reporting. I know that depending on the department you are, and depending on the platform that you are, you may be taking from different sources, but it's really important in a company to have a consistent source that's aligned with the KPIs of the business. In terms of we said about rankings, keyword counts, and visibility metrics, I would also say that we've missed out conversions. So it's really important, especially when in this world, I think it's getting more and difficult to see the whole ROI of SEO. It's really important to try and tie this back to conversions. So if you can do, I would include that. So this is also like micro conversions, for example, people signing up to a newsletter, people signing up to the contact form, as well as if you do have an e-commerce site, making a purchase, and make sure that you have that line item for SEO, as well as, of course, the other channels like paid PPC, which I appreciate. It is easier to see, obviously, spend versus revenue.
Great. Dan, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think since I did bring up Google Search Console and express my love for it, what I would also love to see is for the Search Console team to catch up and provide the metrics and data points that are more in line with what we're currently seeing in search results. So people have been requesting overview data, AI mode data. So that's AI mode is becoming mainstream. It's transitioning from an experimental feature into something that will be quite used. I dare to say there's Gemini is a mode of search. All these AI assistants, they're literally an interface to traditional search because search results are supplied to them as a grounding result. And that data is currently not being presented within Search Console, or it's not clear that's that kind of mode of presentation. So for us to provide meaningful reporting that's in line with how search is presented to users these days, and you can see how I'm framing all this as search. We can call it AI or whatever acronym, but it's really just search with a layer of interpretation on top of it. So I think it's up to Google, OpenAI, and on all the other major players in the industry to provide webmasters with tools, metrics, APIs, so we can build on that rather than violating their terms and conditions and scraping and so on. So I'd love to see some signs of them working on that now and in the future.
That's a very good point. And actually, Aleda Solis made a post on LinkedIn and with her sign saying, please, Google.
John's nodding. I can see he sympathizes with it.
Yeah, please show us all the data. We do need to see this in Google Search Console.
Great, amazing. The only thing I would add is I've just been explaining the situation to clients as well, just so they're aware that other people, if they've seen a sort of a huge drop in impressions and changes to average position, all of that, just making sure they understand it. And then the other thing, and I obviously do this during other big changes, is just to make sure that you annotate in some way in your reporting so that as time goes on, you don't forget this, and then every month you go, oh my goodness, have some sort of panic. I personally, as I said, I annotate in things like SEO Stack and then look back at previous reports and see what I was reporting on for that client there and then. But obviously everybody's different and will have their own way of doing it. But it was super helpful also during coronavirus because there were so many changes to search in general, and there were many of us panicking about what would happen the year before, or were high-fiving based on how well we were doing the following year. Okay, let's go on to, one question that we have, which I think is a quick one. Somebody has said that we got an email from an agency saying Google rolled out a September core update, codenamed Perspective. I can't find any confirmation from Google about this. Is there any truth in it? I've not seen anything. I've checked the status dashboards and not seen anything. Has anybody else seen anything in terms of core updates over the last few weeks?
Nope. Zero. I can't even see. We have a volatility tracker called Algoroo. Jumped on it just earlier. Didn't see anything substantial. So I don't think there's anything real in that rumor.
Cool. So it's just an email from your agency or from an agency. So quick, we're the first ones to tell you about it, even though it doesn't exist.
We have Emily said I read something about a fake September algo update. Johnny said about the spam update. Yeah, Emily said that she'll see it. Lily Ray posted about this update, this fake one, so she'll try and find it and share it with us.
Okay, cool. Right, next question. And this kind of relates to what we were talking about before. I've been given a URL, so Joe, if you wouldn't mind sharing it, but we won't mention the website. So apologies if you're watching after on YouTube, but for those of you that are here live, you'll be able to see it. So in Google Search Console, we saw clicks drop sharply right when Google dropped the num 100 parameter. At the same time, average position shot up dramatically. It feels like chaos. If you were me, how would you diagnose what's really going on? Could this be AI mode? And they've included a link, so people feel free to take a look. But basically, they've seen a drop in their, not just their impressions, but also in clicks as well. And they wanted to know how to diagnose this and whether it's all to do with AI mode. Did anybody get a chance to have a look at this site and have any thoughts? Joe, did you take a look?
Wow, how do I guess that one? I didn't take that much of a look yet, but I will be. But I would think that going on this one, I haven't looked at it actually in the third party tool. It'll be interesting actually to see the comparison in a few other tools, how we've seen that. I think it would be like, if you me, how do you diagnose what's really going on? I would actually look to see, this is an e-commerce site. So we saw clicks drop, right? But have we actually seen a drop in conversions? What about our impressions? What has that happened? Can we see, do we make any changes to the website, any tech changes? Or have we seen an increase in 404 errors? Do you have any alerts that you have set up with your SEO tool that will tell you if there's pages that need to be addressed? So that's what I would actually look at first. I wouldn't just jump to AI mode. AI mode is like a completely separate like search engine. And at the moment, we don't have visibility on that in a lot of tools. In some, yes. So I would actually look and see, okay, what about your analytics? Have you seen any drop in traffic and in revenue? And what about your other channels? What's happened to that? Have you seen anything impact like email marketing or direct traffic? So have you and analyze your analytics first and also analyze your tech SEO.
Great. Dan, did you get a chance to have a look?
Yeah, looking at that site's not going to tell us anything. We'd need to look at either, I don't think even screenshots from Search Console. We'd need to really dive into it and understand the data. So my process around this, actually probably a fun name to bring up. We have a acronym we use internally. It's called WYMAWIG. WYSIWYG, but WYMAWIG stands for, was it me or was it Google? And so what we do is we hook up to Search Console API, download the data day by day with all the metrics, including device, country, query, etc., etc. And then we slice the data to try to understand where did drop happen. It's not like everything dropped. And then what we try to do is once we understand which page type, which query set, which group of queries, what was affected, was it mobile, was it desktop, was it everything? Then we try to pinpoint with any known annotated internal events that may have happened at the website, hosting, site changes, and so on. Because to me, this looks, okay, so the num equals 100 is a presentation layer. It's not really doesn't affect your website performance. I don't know if there's any correlation with the actual presentation of data in Search Console, but I would say this is probably a coincidental. But there's no way to tell until you really slice into data. So one thing that's really helpful that I found there's a free algorithm called Profit supplied by Facebook. And with that, you can do time series forecasting on your traffic. And for example, you can see your drop in traffic against what would have happened if it didn't drop. And then you're able to do at any slice of that data, you're able to, it's very light. You don't need GPUs, anything heavy to do that. So you can basically forecast your traffic and you can see little ups and downs weekly as you do the forecasting. And you can then do what we refer to as P delta. So basically the difference between the expected traffic for that week or month and what you actually got. And you can see what happened, and then you can do that difference metric between different slices of that data. You can go as far as the query classification. So if you have different query intents, was it like informational queries that have been hit or branded, or what exactly happened? So I think I would like zoom in on the data and try to get answers from that. rather than just simply pinpointing like top level, oh, it was AI overviews, or it was the Google change in presentation in SERPs and so on. So we'll definitely dive deeper into it and try to get answers that way. Correlation, causation type thing.
Amazing. Hey, did you get a chance to look at the site at all? Do you have any thoughts on I'm trying not to say the brand name.
Yeah, I tried clicking on that link yesterday. Even now, I tried clicking on it, but it's not opening in this part of my IP. It's not really opening yet, generally. I tried clicking on the link,
Okay.
it's not opening on my end.
Yeah, okay, great. Super. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
I think there's just a few comments here. Simon, thanks for that. You said try and keep a diary of these changes on your website and anything maybe your competition is doing. That's also a good view, actually. Maybe you could look at this on a monthly basis and see what the competitors are doing. And just you can use the third-party tools actually to see how, if they're actually perhaps maybe taking away some of the clicks from you, as in they might be ranking higher. We also have, I'm just checking the chat. We also have, sorry, just checking. Whenever there's a comment that opens it moves around. Sorry. No, I think that's it actually. But yeah, if anybody has any other comments, please do put in the chat. And those that are watching us live, thank you for joining us. This is our 82nd episode. Those that are not watching us live, come. It's 9:30 a.m. BST. It'll be that until the end of the month. And you can click a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be running these SEO office hours every Friday for the foreseeable future. Oh, Rob actually asked a question. Were sales affected? So yeah, please do look at that as well. Not just on the clicks, and see sales affected for SEO, sales affected for other channels.
For what it's worth, I actually asked that question, and it has been
Ah,
not from a paid perspective, so it doesn't feel like there's a conversion issue, but purely from an organic perspective. Yeah, I followed up with to get more information, such as the website and so on. And one thing I would say, just like looking at overall performance of the website over the last year, is it's had some quite impressive growth. So I think sometimes when you're comparing things month on month, you can panic a little bit. But if you take a bit of a step back and look at the site overall, it's if you compare it the last month to the same time the year before, it looks like you're doing a million times better from an organic perspective. So I think sometimes, obviously it's not great if you're not performing quite as well as you were last month, but at the same time, it doesn't look. I wouldn't necessarily be panicking. It doesn't look like you've lost tons of traffic or anything like that. It looks like when I've had a look at the search results, it looks like Amazon does similar things, and for some of their kind of key pages and key terms, it seems like Amazon also offers very similar products. It looks like you're competing with that, and I would just focus on making those key pages much better. But it doesn't seem like it's a massive drop in terms of those kind of key commercial pages that they've got. It just seems like it's a handful. And whenever I looked at the alternative and it was Amazon, yeah, I would just try and be better than that, because obviously they're a very niche business and can create lots of nice copy.
yeah.
I did also know there's quite a lot of or to me, it looks like there's quite a lot of content that might not have totally been created by humans. And that's the other thing, that they seem to have a lot of pages on the site and a lot of content on the site. And I think they could probably, in the industry they work in, probably team up with, say, vets or experts that really know about this stuff and write some really good copy, as opposed to just some of the more generic stuff that you could probably get from AI overviews or ChatGPT or whatever. So yeah, but it looks like if that was my business, I'd be really proud of where it's going in terms of growth, and we'd just look at continuing to make it better and create better products and try and beat the beast that is Amazon.
The beast that is Amazon.
The
That's totally
beast
true.
that is Amazon, yeah.
And Simon made a very good point that you need to compare year on year, because seasonal changes become very apparent. So particularly maybe for this area, and depending on which country you are, maybe you might have had a lot of traffic in the summer months. Winter is coming if you're in the northern hemisphere, and maybe people are maybe not as interested in purchasing certain products. Dan, you also shared a link, thank you on that, for the history for conversions. This is through a Google Search Console. That's useful here. So yeah,
This
thanks
is
for
the
that.
algo events recorded at Google, so there's a clear and very well annotated history. I don't know if we can share that link maybe later on.
Yeah, we'll
But
put it in the YouTube description, no problem.
yeah, so basically for every event at Google, there will be like from and to, how long it lasted, and that will really help you pinpoint and annotate that event against your events So basically, your internal events against external global events. And then so when you do time series forecasting, which brings us to the seasonality, what if it was going to drop anyway at that time? What I was going to say, one more thing is this is suspiciously close to the wrap up of the spam update. So there's something to look in that. I just had a quick look at the anchor texts. They're all very much product titles. It's not the classic footprint of spammy exact match anchor text, but every anchor text seems like a product title. I haven't gone through all the backlinks, but it looks like maybe affiliates. Something to look at there to just see if there was a direct correlation with the spam or core update.
Great, amazing, thank you. Okay, next question.
Oh yeah, sorry, there was just actually one more, another comment. Actually, I just saw this. Sorry, I just missed it actually. It's whenever everyone adds a comment, it moves it. But actually, going back to what someone asked about the September update, Emily just shared a Lily Ray's post. So have a look at that, everyone. That's quite interesting from that. Thanks, Emily, for sharing that. And yes, Ekene shared anyway, back to that question. Oh, actually, Rich, you had a question, and thank you, Ekene, for going back on that one. That was in the chat. He was asking, how much can we trust the data from SEMrush and all the other tools now that the num equals Power Ranger has been removed? Kenny, you've already come back to that, which is great. Okay, so on to our next question.
Okay, super. Our website hasn't really changed in 5 years. As a tech platform, we know design is a huge trust factor. We've just brought on this amazing design agency, and they're teaming up with a freelance developer to give our site a refresh. I'm guessing you'll say SEO should be involved from start to finish, but if we only have budget to bring them in at certain points, this is more of a brand refresh than a full rebrand. What are the key moments that really matter from an SEO perspective? Joe. Oh, you're on mute, Joe.
Yeah, sorry. Going through the question, I think you need to just be quite concise with your budget, and that's time and resources. So I would say for anything that you're doing to create, just make sure you create a brief. So then you can actually have it written down what you actually plan to do. You can also have a status update, like what is the site currently and why do you want to change it, so that nobody distracts or goes too far away from the brief, because that is the thing that takes up resources, which is time and money. Yes, SEO should be involved from start to finish. So if you have a brief, you can share this with the SEO team and they can give their input. I'm not saying they need to be in every single meeting. Nobody needs to be in a meeting unless there's a specific agenda for them, but you need to do that. And so bring them in the beginning and plan out what you're going to change. So we've actually already have a few people commenting, so I will just say that in now actually, because it's quite relevant. Simon says, get the SEO in or for the page designs and the URL changes. Johnny has said, check with that's a nice little joke, the GEO team. Dan is also saying, don't change the URL structure. Because you said about a design. So
Yeah,
it's
just a refresh, not a full rebrand. So I take it they're not moving domain or anything.
Yeah, but just make sure. That's why if you have a brief, you would say, okay, we're not changing the URL, nothing is changing. And so then we have that as a basis. And don't change any sort of internal links. That's what we have another person mentioning. And oh my goodness, so many little messages that moves the chat differently. And Fisat was talking about website audit. That actually would feed into the brief. So why are you doing a redesign? Maybe the SEO team could do a little bit of an audit and highlight if you are doing anything changes to make sure that you're either one, aware of these issues, or two, you resolve them, or three, you just don't touch them. And Jojo, thank you. You have shared a very useful guide about why SEO should be involved from day one in website migrations. Go to the Sitebulb site and have a look at that guide. I'll pass back to you, Mike, and I'll share this in our notes and our video when we post it on YouTube. Thanks, Jojo.
Great. Dan, do you have any thoughts in terms of if they haven't got much budget, when would you? Go for it.
Yeah, let me go. Thankfully, I'm grateful that we've left the norm equals to 100. Yeah, I can now delve into answering more questions. I did like to jump on this question, particularly because I have had a personal experience where a client did a rebrand without involving SEO. And when it was time to do the SEO on the website from technical to on-page. We had to tear down the website to an extent. So it means we had to spend more because we did not include SEO at the beginning of the project, right? So in order to save costs and to spend less in the long haul, it is very important that SEO be included at the beginning, because at the beginning of the project, that is where you identify the URL structure. If you end up taking SEO to the after launch, to the later stage of the project, probably after launch, you have to go back and start working on URL structure, website architecture, and it's a whole lot of waste of resources and manpower. So there's a pattern that at the beginning of the project, you have your website design. You also have your SEO checklist. Look at the website architecture, the edit structure. You also look at the URL structure. Because if you do this at the beginning and it flows with the website redesign, you will end up spending less in the long run. But if you wait and you've done the whole rebrand or the whole revamp and you are bringing SEO, the SEO will tell you, oh, we work on this URL, oh, we need to work on the architecture of this website. And then you end up bringing in the developers again and the design team to go over restructuring the website. That is you wasting resources and time. So it's important that at the beginning, you have your checklist and the SEO checklist is implemented alongside the revamp or the redesign to save cost and time and effort.
Amazing. Dan, do you have anything to add?
Yep, I just jotted it down in the chat basically, but to be precise and answer how many touch points do you really need? How often do you need to bring them in? One is at the very start of the process. So the SEO can tell the design team exactly what not to do, including don't touch the URL structures, don't mess up with information architecture, don't do all these things. And then like at the end, when they don't listen to you and they do all those things, then SEO can fix it before it goes live. And so that's just experience. It does happen. And it's not like the design teams do that on purpose. They might make choices that affect SEO without them realizing that it does. At the start and just pre-launch. If the money is tight and you want to save on SEO advice, just get them in at those two critical points.
Amazing. Yeah, totally agree with everyone. And looking at this site, and they asked to stay anonymous. Unfortunately, I couldn't share it with all of you, but I would recommend looking at it that you do take SEO seriously, because you get lots of non-branded organic traffic that to me looks quite commercial. And I would totally, what Ekene was saying, just get SEO as involved as soon as possible. You'd have during the briefing period, just before launch and just after, but I think that is more or less the whole migration. So I would basically spread those hours. But I think in your brief, I think it's really important to highlight what they shouldn't change. Dan was just saying with URL structure, but also what pages to really protect and not change too much as well, so that you've probably got some key pages across your site that really matter. And if you're already doing a brand update, one thing I'd be really careful of is that you don't allow the brand team to go wild on key commercial pages around changing all the copy and all of that stuff, because I think it's very clear at the moment what the pages are about. And then I think just before launch, when it's on that staging server, I would probably take a look to make sure what you said in the brief or what the SEO said in the brief has actually happened, because sometimes people don't always take those instructions exactly. And then obviously once you've launched, there are little things like if it is on a staging server and then they forget to take no index tags off or anything like that, and then they go and launch the site, then you basically don't want that to happen. So I think if it's possible to spread those hours, so do the sort of mini audit like Joe was saying up front and help with the brief. But then, yeah, if it's possible, whatever you've got left, just add a few hours before you launch and then after. Joe, is there anything in the chat?
Yeah, there's just a couple more. Actually, Danny just said other examples. SSR to CSR, frequently asked questions on key product content and hidden expanders are not visible on load. Okay, so it's like sometimes a design, they might decide to change that. I believe this is what you're saying, Dan. And SSR to CSR, can you expand on what that is?
So basically, a choice of a new design or a new CMS or new design template might result in website rendering on the client end instead of server. So basically search engine gets no content on load, which is fine generally, but there's the complications associated with that. So another thing to worry about is they might think, oh, it's very pretty how you like do the expanding elements and you hide, let's say you have a product description and you have a nice image and then, we'll just hide all the product specifications in an expanded tab. but whatever's hidden by default doesn't get the same weight as visible content that shows up on load. I've tested this over and over again. So little things like that so those are examples of things that could go wrong without like simply rewriting somebody's title tags or excluding H1s and so on. And the designers tend to see these as not like really big deal. So it could be accidental things like that.
Yeah, get the SEOs in from day one. And also, I would just do midpoint checks like halfway through and the end. Simon said, never bring the tech SEO in the day after the launch. You will be charged at the double or maybe triple rate. I mean, prices are increasing anyway. Marcus said the Siteball guides are on fire, so please do use them. Jojo has said use the crawler to audit the site pre-migration and staging and post-launch. Maybe there's a product you can use, maybe Siteball, for example. And also, Jojo rightly said, audit your JavaScript SEO. There might be some changes that might not seem to be such a big thing, but yeah, maybe someone's put some of JavaScript in there, or as Dan said, people are hiding content. So please just have a look at that. Loads of comments in the chat. Thank you. And actually, Albert shared a few things as well from the Ahrefs blog and something else from Google Search Console too. Simon, you've also shared one around the HTML display tag. Yeah, that's a good one. And there's a JavaScript toggle to see about their JavaScript. So great. Rich has just asked, okay, just to be clear, are you saying that hidden content, and that frequently asked question 1, for example, in an accordion doesn't have the same weight as a fully visible content? I think, Dan, you just replied with a link to that, right?
Yeah, I tend to reply to people in social media instead of just typing, I just reply with a post that I posted like 10 years ago, whatever. But this one is not too old, so from 22. There was some arguments that like, oh, hidden content's fine for as long as you can expand it and this and that. And I was like, fine, let me show you. So I took a snippet from whitehouse.gov that was in the expander and I put it on my homepage and I did the quote search and I was the first result. White House was the second result. Is that enough evidence? Just if it's important, don't hide it. If anything, key product detail, you want to leave it nice and open. If you want to tidy it up, you can allow a user to shrink or contract things. But I definitely wouldn't, if it's a key product detail or like a really important piece of information, I wouldn't put it under tabs, like expanders and so on.
Yeah, thank you. And also, you just shared something in the chat as well, if you'd like to expand on that too.
Okay, I just shared a link to, because someone asked, I wish there was a guide on JavaScript SEO. So I just shared the link to one of my resources on JavaScript SEO.
Amazing. One thing I was thinking when we were talking about the question in terms of at what point should an SEO be involved, I would also be tempted, if I was you, to get the SEO to meet with the design team and developer just to have a chat to talk about the plan and get them to, obviously, it depends if they're really into selling their services, but get them to give you an idea of at what points would be important once they've met that design team and developer, because obviously some devs do really know about SEO and some don't. So I think you'll get a temperature check if you get them to have a conversation with them about it and find out how much they actually know about SEO. And it might be that they just need to come in during once it's on a staging server. Okay, we have 7 minutes left, and I think we've got a fairly quick question, I would say, which is also on a website migration. Do you redirect the sitemap from an old domain to a new one when you're going through a website migration? Ekene, would you redirect the sitemap?
Okay, what I do, so when you are doing a redirect, you don't immediately redirect the sitemap. So what I do is I do a redirect of the domain from the old domain to a new domain. And then I go into Google Search Console. I create a new property for the new domain. Of course, the old domain already has a property in Google Search Console. So I create a new property for the new domain on Google Search Console. Then I generate or create a new sitemap for the new domain and then submit it in Google Search Console. And then you go to the settings, your settings in Google Search Console, and you do what they call change of address. You change your domain address from the old domain to the new domain in Google Search Console. Now, you don't immediately do a migration because this will affect how your website is crawled, because, of course, Google has already crawled and indexed the previous domain. So you just will do an immediate migration. So it's a slow process, a gradual process. You can have two property on Google Search Console, the old one and the new one. You submit a new sitemap for the new domain, and you submit a change of address on the settings of Google Search Console. And then over time, after Google must have indexed or crawled the new sitemap for your new domain and completed the change of the address, then probably 6 months down the line, you can then fully do a full migration of the sitemap. But you don't do that immediately so that you don't lose the traffic and cause crawlability issues.
Great, amazing. Joe, Dan, do you have anything else to add to that? No, perfect. Okay, we'll go on to our final question. We never have this long for the final question, so that's amazing. But I'm frightened if we go on to another one, we'll go way over. The final question is our regular one, which is, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment? Ekene, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. And for me, the fact that SEO gives me a more balanced perspective about life generally. SEO cuts across both art and science. Because as an SEO, you're not just being technical, you're not just technical oriented, right? While you are trying to do the technical part of it, being the technical implementation, being data savvy, analytics, and all of that. At the same time, you also need to have the creative aspect of it, wherein you understand human behavior and human search intent, to understand the art of persuasion and copywriting and content writing. So for me, SEO gives me a more holistic and more balanced view of life, wherein I am both a creative, at the same time, I'm also a technical person. And with this mindset, I can approach life with an understanding from these two perspectives, right? Either from a technical perspective or as a creative. And for me, and that is one of the reasons why I actually decided to pursue a career in SEO, because it gives me a test of both worlds and really interesting for me.
Amazing. Dan, what are you most excited about in terms of SEO at the moment?
I just love how AI's given SEO so much life suddenly. SEO was just this forgotten, dusty, neglected thing. It's just like, yeah, you do this, you do that, and then you do SEO. But now SEO is like a really big deal. It's been talked about in boardrooms, and it's given all the wrong names though. So I'm like fighting against that. But SEO is definitely back in as a discussion, as an important element. So it's definitely invigorated. And it did take me personally for over 2 years to wrap my head around what am I going to do about all this new thing. But just recently feels like it's all fallen into places. And I'm really excited. Like the final touch to my AI element of SEO, the pipeline, was the citation mining bit, which was really like the last thing, which now gives me both on-page and off-page stuff to do. So how do I keep my team busy? What are we doing? What are we going to try? So we have so many ideas, so much automation in place. And the thing that I'm probably most excited about is the fact that all the drudgery of data and analytics, and it's all abstracted away from us with tools that we, developed. And my staff can use like any tools that they wish. And we now have time for thinking, being creative, really thinking about a problem and making decisions. Because I feel like SEOs up to this point, we're spending too much time just busy work. And now we have a bit of room to breathe, to slow down and go, okay, let's think about problem solving and the actions we really want to take based on the data we see, rather than just collecting the data manually. And if you're still in the business of doing manual tweaking of the data, you need to step up your game. There's no more excuses. We've been armed with superpowers. So yeah, I'm stoked about what's happening right now, and yeah, pig in the mud.
Amazing. Joe, I can probably guess, but what are you most excited about in terms of SEO?
I am excited about the fact that, yeah, there is this AI coming up, but the fact that we're giving ourselves some time, that we can do some tests and that we don't need to know everything. And of course, we're sharing our learnings. Everyone's very thoughtful with sharing what they have discovered so far at a lot of events. So this is a few tickets left for Search and Stuff events in Turkey coming up on October the 9th. There's still a couple of tickets left. And also, of course, doing Search Barcelona. If anyone's in Search Barcelona in Barcelona, come to our event on October the 14th. We are doing one about generating leads outside of Google.
Amazing. I think we will finish there. I forgot to say, I'm excited at the moment. I'm doing a course with Brittany Muller on AI for marketers. And what I'm excited about with that is hearing from everybody else what they're up to in terms of what tools they're using and what they're doing with AI. So that'd be really cool. Okay, we will stop there. Thank you so much to everybody who joined us live, and thank you to those watching after on YouTube. Thank you to those who submitted questions. I hope we helped. Thank you so much for joining us as one of our special guests. Dan, thank you so much for joining us as a special guest. Joe, thank you so much for hosting. Thank you for everybody who've been commenting away. I hope you have a lovely weekend. And Joe, we're here next week, aren't we?
We are, yes. We are here next week, the week after, and then we're taking a tiny break because we'll be at Brighton SEO.
Amazing.
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Ekene. And thank you to our guests for always coming and supporting us and all the chats that you get involved with.
Have a lovely weekend.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.